this video, we'll be talking about how we can control our minds and actions by learning to be bored, and why we should not run away from boredom, and how powerful it can actually be. But before we get into boredom, let's talk about motivation. And let me ask you this question. Do you control your desires, or do they control you? Can you decide what will you do? Or do you just do the things that you want to do? Because a lot of people just do the things that they feel like doing, that they just want to do. You might want to watch YouTube and you don't want to study. So you watch YouTube instead of studying. And when we don't feel like doing something, when we don't feel like studying, we start to seek motivation to do that thing. We say to ourselves, oh, I wish I will want to study tomorrow. I wish I will want to clean my room tomorrow. And now, of course, when we don't want to do something, we don't have motivation for that. When we want to do something, we have motivation for that. But you see, what we want is not in our control. We don't decide what we want. Because if we could decide what we want, then discipline wouldn't exist, willpower wouldn't exist. We would just say to ourselves, yeah, now I want to study, and then we would just go study. But that's not how it works. We don't decide what we want. And when we start seeking motivation, praying for it, saying that I wish I will want to do that, I wish I will want to do this, then if we don't want to do it, we're screwed. Our life will fall to the things that we just want to do. We will seek the easy path, we will seek comfort, and we won't do the things that needs to be done and leads to a more fulfilling life. This is why it's so important to have some control over what our minds want to do. You see, I learned about this recently, and this is so interesting that when your mind doesn't want to do something, it will convince you that you don't want to do it. It will start rationalizing. For example, when your mind doesn't feel like doing something, it will tell you, oh, it's not worth it. Oh, I'm going to be stuck here forever. It's not worth waking up this early. This is not going to work. It won't be enough. Now just think about it. Why do you have these thoughts? What's the point of these thoughts? What's the end result of these thoughts? What's the direction of these thoughts? You see, your mind comes up with these thoughts and these rationalizations so that you won't have to do today's action, so that you won't have to stay on your diet and you can eat that cheesecake, so that you can scroll on TikTok instead of doing that hard work. Your mind is convincing you to do the easier thing instead of the hard thing, to do the thing that you feel like doing instead of doing the thing that actually needs to be done. You see, the brain crafts the life it wants, not the life you want. This is why we shouldn't believe every single thing that we think. We shouldn't believe our every thought. Because most of the time, you see, they are just not true. Our thoughts are not true. I won't really get into this. I made a whole video about how most of our thoughts are not true. But we shouldn't believe everything that we think. We should cultivate the ability to control our minds and to do the thing that it tells us that it doesn't want to do. So then, what could we do when, for example, we want to watch YouTube, but we know that we should study? When our minds want one thing, but we know we should do something else? Well, of course, we should control our minds and not listen to what it wants, but have our actions independent from it. And a great way to train your mind is through meditation. Because really think about it, what do we do in meditation? I mean, now of course there are multiple styles of meditation, but what do we do in meditation? We focus on something, and when our mind wanders away, we slap on it and say, no, come back here. We're going to focus on this. We won't wander away in our thoughts. We will focus on our breath. So this is the way you train your mind, you see. And if you do this, you make your actions independent from your thoughts. You train yourself to not listen to your mind and do the thing that you actually need to do. So one way to control your mind is to meditate. And another way to learn your wants to not control you is to learn to be bored. Because why are we bored? I mean, when are we bored? We are bored when we are just by ourselves, when we are not getting external stimulation, external entertainment, when we're not watching something and we're just there sitting by ourselves. And when we get bored, our mind doesn't like it. It wants to get out of there. So it starts convincing us to do something, to watch something on YouTube, to get some stimulation. And this is where the training comes in. We tell it, no, we're just going to sit here by ourselves and just be bored. I won't listen to you. I'm just going to sit here and be bored. And what will happen after you've been sitting there in boredom for some time is that your mind will start begging you for some kind of stimulation. It wants to work with something, it's bored. And then you say, okay, let's go study physics. And then your mind says, okay, fine, let's go study physics. It's better than being bored. Like, are you starting to see the power of not retreating from boredom? From not always being stimulated, always being on our phones, always having our attention externalized. Because that's also so messed up. Because nowadays, most of the time, we never spend time with ourselves. Our attention is always externalized. Our attention is always focused outwards. We are always watching something, listening to some podcast, watching something on YouTube. We're never by ourselves. And then we're wondering why we don't know what we want to do. And then we're searching for what we want to do outside ourselves. But we won't find that there. You won't find what you truly want and how you want to live your life outside. And also, you shouldn't listen to what someone else says, how you should live your life, because it is your own personalized life. No one has the life that you have. You also shouldn't listen to me on how to really live your life, because you're unique. I can't tell you what you should do. This is why we should get to reconnect with ourselves more. And the way we do that is by being bored, by just sitting with ourselves and focusing our attention inwards, not always outwards. I mean, this is the basis of shower thoughts. The only time when our attention is not externalized, because we can't bring our technology there. And that's when we get these great ideas. Maybe I shouldn't do this, or what if this happened, what if that? That's when we really start thinking, because we start getting our attention inwards instead of it always being outwards. So that is why also boredom is so important. That is how you reconnect with yourself. And that's how you get that inner voice. That's how you listen to yourself. And this is what I want to implement more into my daily life. Just being bored. Just sitting there and doing nothing. Because I think that it is truly important to just sit there and to just think. Do some introspection. And one way I started implementing this is by not taking my phone with me when I go and take a shit. Because I just thought to myself, how messed up is this? That even for 5 minutes when I need to go to the toilet, I need to bring my phone with me. And I need that stimulation even when I'm sitting on my toilet. Can't I just sit there without that stimulation? This is how you get back control over your mind and not let your thoughts and your wants rule over you. And you could also do things like, if you're going on a flight, don't bring anything with you to distract you or to entertain you. Just sit there for 4 hours. I mean, nothing's going to happen to you. You won't die. You'll just be bored. And just imagine the transformation and the training, how much of a training this is for your mind. Sitting there for 4 hours and not doing anything, not giving in to your thoughts. I mean, if you do this a bunch of times, imagine how much your discipline and willpower will improve. And you could also just do things like have 10 minutes in your day where you just do nothing. 10 minutes where you just sit there and stare at your wall or just do nothing. And now as an actionable step, after watching this video, just sit by yourself for 3 minutes. Set a timer on your phone for 3 minutes, just for 3 minutes. and just sit there in boredom. Don't do anything. Don't look at the thumbnails. No, just sit there, stare at your wall. And I think that these actionable steps are actually very important, because when I watch these random videos and I don't take action, when I don't schedule it, okay, I will do this, the thing that I learned, I will do it either now after watching this video or tomorrow when I have the chance. When I don't take action, I can so easily forget it. This is why I think these actionable steps are very important. And I mean, to be honest, probably 80% of the people that watch this video won't do this actionable step. I mean, to be honest, 90% of the people probably wouldn't even made it to the end of this video, because our attention span is so ruined at this point, really. We can't focus for a minute on a thing. If you made it this far, I'm proud of you, to be honest. You have a way above average attention span. Most people already clicked off because they need that extra stimulation and they just can't sit there and watch an unedited video. That's the state that we're at. So proud of you for having this attention span and for having the ability to just sit there and watch this and focus on one thing for a long time. A lot of people don't have that ability. So do this actionable step, and thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, if you want any advice, I'm doing free one-on-one calls. You can send me an email and ask me anything that you want. We'll arrange a video call and you can ask me anything. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video. All the love towards you. Have a great day and goodbye.